Welcome to Under Two Capes. Well, not actually Under Two Capes, Comics League, Halo Wednesdays. And today I wanted to sort of talk about the Halo show one last time. Yes, this is going to be the end of our coverage of the Halo show. And I really wanted to end on a positive note, focusing more on what did the show do right? Because Lord knows I gave you a whole episode, I think last week, about what it did wrong. Now, what it did do right, the first thing is the visuals, like the ships, the armor, the weapons, the sounds, everything was Halo. That was distinctly Halo. The vehicles were distinctly Halo. I did enjoy that. That's one of the best thing. That's like the show's only redeeming quality. Everything. And then you also had the sorry about that. You also had, there were some references to the original canon, such as like the Master Chief crashing a Banshee into a Phantom, because I believe that happened in one of the books, because Chief is a badass in the books, even more than he is in the games, arguably. Some of the references were well placed. I definitely enjoyed that. I also enjoyed, like, we got to see in live action for the first time, like in the infamous episode with Chief and McKee. They do show a planet that's been glassed. You see it's all like volcanic, it's all like bubbly lava. So that was really, when I was watching that episode, I was like, oh, actually, that's really cool. I really like that. Just the way that they sort of visualized that, because you saw a little bit of that in live action and some in the pictures in the encyclopedia and in the games and such, but we never really saw like on the surface what that looks like specifically, and just looked devastation. That's kind of there. Additionally, I liked like High Charity. High Charity looked great. I tell you how you can kind of see like Covenant assault carriers docked on the little strut that comes down so it's like this is like a bulbous jellyfish, and then you have the stem. On the stem there are like little landing platforms for assault carriers. I really like that. Assault carriers look good, the hunters look good, the Covenant species look great. The my friend Tyler had issues with the elites, how the armor looked kind of iffy. It didn't look as like angular per se as the games designed for like the elites from, say, Halo 3. But I didn't really mind that. I did like seeing the elites fight, how like that one elite rammed a pickup truck. I'm like, oh, they're that strong. Then additionally, I cannot stress this enough. I loved like the Chief shields recharging. They had the sound. They had the assault rifle sound and everything. I did like also, there were times in the few action scenes that were in the series, they went to first person and it felt like a Halo game. So I was like, oh, okay, this is really cool. I definitely enjoy the use of first person in the show. It definitely did that, like, I would say, extremely well. And the action scenes were pretty great, except for the last one. And the only problem I have with that last action scene, and what I mean by that is pre-Cortana taking over Chief, is that you have elites just charging the Spartans like a horde. They would not do that. That would be grunts. If that had been grunts, they'd be like, okay, that's believable. But if it was just elites, they'd be using more tactics. Because remember, the Covenant are supposed to be the military. The Covenant, the elites are supposed to be the military commanders of the Covenant. So they're supposed to actually be practicing tactics. Where were their tactics? It doesn't work like that. So that was the other thing. And I also really enjoyed the brutes, like the gravity hammer, the visualization when it hit, except like a little shock wave. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. If when there was an action scene, it felt actually like like the games. I also like the some of the lines, because a lot of them were references to the original canon, like in Halo Fall of Reach, when Chief, so those that don't know, Spartans were created to quell insurrections. When Blue Team's first actual combat mission, they were sent into the rebels' headquarters to capture the leader. They do so, but Chief gets shot by accident, not by accident, but he takes a bullet for Sam 034. And when Sam says, well, you don't sacrifice a king for a pawn. Chief says, a pawn or a king, they both go in the same box when the game is over. And then they had that line when Cortana took over Chief, or actually when Cortana first showed up. So I did enjoy that. By the way, Jen Taylor's voice in Cortana is superb. And there was also like, I know how the game is played, Cortana, where he's running and fighting. I also really like the last fight scene. You heard when the Chief fights Atriox and the brutes show up, you had the Halo theme, the da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. I was like, oh, that is so good. It was placed so perfectly. It's like as soon as that guy shows up, oh, it's on. And then it's like it's the full fight scene. I just wish they used more of the more of like references to the original Halo music, because the soundtrack itself is iconic. But I get that they wanted to make it a little more different. And remember, as we've heard many times, this is a different timeline. So those are some of the things that I at least detected that I really liked. Now, once again, I always try and point out the positives of any piece of content I cover here on the show, because ultimately you guys are coming here for positivity and not negativity. Granted, there are some things that I cover here that are going to be controversial and that I don't like, but I'll always at least try to say, okay, I can see where a piece of value that this had. Heck, when we reviewed Wonder Woman 1984, we said it wasn't as bad, but, and then we started thinking about it off screen, or things change. But pretty much, I always try and deliver a sort of a positive product to you, because that's why you're coming here, to feel better. I hope so. So if you see me trying to be positive about something that's controversial, that's why. Although I did genuinely enjoy Obi-Wan. That's the thing I will say. So now that I'm not covering Halo Wednesdays, now I'm not covering the Halo show anymore, I want to give you guys the choice, if you've made it this far in the video. Do I continue covering Halo content, or do I go to maybe change this to Star Wars Wednesdays and we cover the Obi-Wan show? You let me know in the comments below what you guys want me to do. Or I could make it Marvel Wednesdays. Just whatever you guys want me to do with Wednesdays. Because generally the upload schedule is Mondays, like a general discussion video, where I talk about like the latest goings on in comic books and stuff. Wednesdays is Halo Wednesdays, or now it can change. If you guys want me to stay with Halo, I'll stay with Halo, whatever. And then the weekends are I try to have it up by Friday, but if I don't, Under Two Capes is normally uploaded on the at some point during the weekend. By Under Two Capes, for those that don't know, is the premier podcast of Comics League. Is what got us started, and we're entering our 2-year anniversary, so we'll be doing an episode on that. And then Saturdays are when we do our live stream with like a guest talking about the latest news in the comic book industry, and we'll also tackle a topic that I want to cover. So that's generally the upload schedule, and let me know about Wednesdays, and then we can definitely go from there. Hope you guys enjoyed. First off, my coverage of the Halo show. You guys know I try to be as positive as possible, except for episode 8. There's no redeeming that episode. So yeah, that's it for this video. I will see you next week with whatever topic you want me to cover on Wednesdays. Anyway, stay here, work, everyone. Bye-bye.